Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Exceptional products, expert design, experienced professionals. An American Buildings Company authorized builder can turn your dream of a new building into a reality. Because ABC Builders are local contractors, they know your market and can handle your project from beginning to end. So if you're ready today, your ABC Builder is building tomorrow.
Call Munter Enterprises, 518-584-6174.
As I mentioned yesterday, the upcoming interview contained a lot of information. So instead of editing it, we decided to give it to you in two parts. Here's part two. There are two issues upstate that affect us upstate that our Congresswoman is involved with. One is the Broadband Initiative, and the other is the Invasive Species Act. You have decided to get very involved in both those initiatives. I saw the letter that you signed together with, I think it was 41 other members of the House, urging President Trump to make certain that rural applications for broadband were part of the infrastructure proposal that he's going to make. Tell us a bit about that. Why'd you get involved in that?
So rural broadband is an issue that I've been involved with since I was first campaigning. When you hear about the challenges that some of our rural towns and villages face, rural broadband is sometimes number one on the list in terms of making sure that they have access to the 21st century economy, making sure our schools are connected and our kids are able to compete, again, globally. I've introduced legislation that would give preference to farmers because farmers are using technology and need access to rural broadband, and agriculture is an important part of our community. The reason why I helped lead that letter and I signed on to that letter is President Trump has announced a massive infrastructure plan, which is really important, and he talks about the importance of roads, bridges, waterways, airports. I think an important aspect of infrastructure is our technology infrastructure, and rural broadband is the top priority among many constituents in this district, so I thought it was important to bring that issue to the President's desk, and that letter was bipartisan. This is an issue that we can work together on. I think infrastructure broadly has a history of being a bipartisan issue, and I will continue advocating for rural broadband to be a part of an infrastructure package.
You know, speaking of bipartisanship, it kind of dovetails right into the next subject, invasive species. Is it Congressman Thompson, Mike Thompson, is that his name? California. The two of you have sort of locked arms and said in a bipartisan fashion, look, we're going to tackle this Invasive Species Act. And one thing I read about this that's kind of stuck in my head is that, is New York State really the lead problem here with invasive species?
Yes, so if you look at the map, and you can see this on our website, it shows the gradients of how many invasive species exist in the different states, and we are truly the epicenter. And this has ramifications across the country, because if you think about New York as a trading center for the country, we really are, whether it's the gateway to the Great Lakes, whether it's our ports in New York City. So this is a serious issue that will have economic ramifications across the country. What's interesting about the invasive species issue is our local counties and local lake associations have really taken this on. Just this last week, I met with constituents who were advocating for a very specific lake in Clinton County and their local initiative that they're pursuing to combat the aquatic invasive species. I've also worked with the Lake George Fund on their initiative at the county level. The state has provided support for boat washing programs, which you see them advertised during the summer, to try to stem the growth of invasive species. But this is a national issue, it's an economic issue. Again, if you look at the district I represent, the St. Lawrence River is tied into the Great Lakes, and that is so important. It's an ecological gem, it's an important economic driver for our regions. You have to address invasive species head on. Again, it's bipartisan, so I'm excited to work with across the aisle with a Democrat from California who has worked on this issue for a number of years. And I'm hopeful that legislation I've introduced two bills, the Stamp Out Invasive Species Act and the resolution acknowledging that an invasive species is a problem and we need to have a strategy to combat it. I'm hopeful that we will continue to get co-sponsors.
You know, I work a lot with those organizations that are trying to preserve the lake and battle invasive species, and they really deserve the support They're very conscientious. These are just not organizations who casually look at the invasive species problem.
Right.
They're very active in it. I see the boat washing stations. I see all of that. We talk to them. And let's face it, it's the heart of our area. These
Absolutely,
lakes.
and it's important to our economy. If you consider
right.
how important tourism is, that's why chambers of commerce have gotten very involved in this effort, both in Lake George, but in other parts of the Adirondacks. It's why along the St. Lawrence River you have local businesses so engaged in this issue, because for them it's their livelihood, it's property values. So it has an impact on the economy of our region.
One last thing. It was really something to see the Women's March and to see all of those women come out and really just sort of rally and see the sisterhood and see, look at the agenda of the things that were of concern to them. Just a couple of questions on that. What did you think of it? Were you in town for it? And then one last question for you that I'll say.
Sure. So I think the Women's March was a historic day. I have many of my friends who attended the Women's March. I was not able to be in town. I was actually at a wedding in Massachusetts, but I commend all of the women who participated both locally and who participated in the march in D.C. And I think what was interesting to me, and I've met with some of the women's organizations over the past couple of days, is they're engaged in the political process.
Yeah,
and
I've
always been an advocate for we need more women's voices. We are the majority of voters in this country. We are increasingly the majority of college graduates. There are more women starting small businesses today than there are men. We want to encourage everyone to start small businesses, but I think it shows that women are breaking down barriers. And it certainly was a historic day, and I welcome the opportunity to meet with women's organizations in the district who want to share their concerns, and I have done that.
Yeah, I think it's very important that as a result of this, that it just doesn't go away, that actually, and something I read this week really stuck in my head, that more women are now applying to run for office and see whatever. Of all the placards I saw, and it's just the way I'm set up. I like to see what people are saying. And I was looking at it, and the one that really stuck in my head was "The future is female." So we don't mind. I mean, we're good. We take out the garbage and do the thermostat and stuff. But, do you think so? Do you think the future is female? What do you think?
I think so. And I've been really humbled by my experience as a woman in Congress. I've seen the need to have more women voices.
Yeah, sure.
I'm leading the effort, recruiting candidates for the Republican Congressional Committee, and I'm specifically focusing on how we can encourage more women to run and developing that pipeline. It starts at the local and state level. I think and what's interesting about this district is we have a history of electing women, whether you look at State Senator Betty Little, State Senator Kathy Marchione, some of our local town supervisors, our assembly people. So I think we're prime examples in the North Country of how effective women voices have been historically and will continue to be.
Well, Congresswoman, thank you very much for taking the time. I know your schedule, again, was very, very busy, and you did take the time to talk to us, which we very much appreciate. And good luck. I don't know how you're going to get through this, but it's
Thank you. I think the key is listening and making sure. That's why we're inviting in constituent groups and making sure there's a venue for me to hear their concerns.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks. To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.
Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Exceptional products, expert design, experienced professionals. An American Buildings Company authorized builder can turn your dream of a new building into a reality. Because ABC Builders are local contractors, they know your market and can handle your project from beginning to end. So if you're ready today, your ABC Builder is building tomorrow.
Call Munter Enterprises, 518-584-6174.